Flair bartending has been around since the mid-1980s. Made famous by Tom Cruise in his classic film Cocktail, you can now find flairing in bars all over the world. It's turning into a lucrative profession too, with pro tours, world events, and more media coverage. It's bringing it from the underground into the mainstream. American restaurant franchise TGI Fridays are taking it very seriously and are even trying to get it recognised as a sport, with participation in future Olympics on the cards too.
Flairing as a sport it is a sport, and if you've ever watched anyone doing it professionally or in competitions, and there are loads going on around Covent Garden all the time, that is a really difficult thing to do. And you watch the guys do it and people look at it and go, I wish I could do that. Oh, that must be quite difficult. Guys practice for 4, 5, 6 hours a day, the ones that do it professionally at sort of top level, and they're winning £10,000, £15,000 for a competition. So yeah, it's a sport.
There's a lot more money going into flair competitions, and there's a lot of names just coming out of nowhere, and it's getting a lot bigger, like especially in the UK and in Europe and in the States. In Australia it's starting to take off as well. So in a couple of years I think it's going to be massive.
I think the Olympics should cover everything, and I think it should have a bit of everything in it. And I think that having flairing in the Olympics is something that would be interesting. Yeah, why not?
According to the International Olympic Committee, for a sport to become recognised, it must meet strict criteria in categories such as gender equity, marketability and popularity. The sport must be practiced in a minimum of 75 countries for men and 40 for women. The IOC then votes 7 years ahead of the games it will first be featured in. With such strict criteria to be met, this leaves a slim chance for flairing to become an Olympic sport. With many other sports ahead in the pecking order, the media and general public have mixed views on TGI Friday's proposal.
Flairing isn't a sport. There's just, it takes more than a gimmick and some letters from people in a bar and just a random publicity campaign to be acknowledged as a sport. I would like to hope that all Olympic sports get covered equally, but the fact of the matter is they don't. It tends to be the sports that people are best at, different countries are best at, so we always cover the sailing in great depth, and the Americans and the Russians will cover gymnastics in great depth. So whoever is good at flairing will get the most media coverage in that particular country.
An Olympic sport of bar flairing, I think it would be quite cool. I think you kind of got different people, different skill set. I think it would be quite amusing when it goes wrong, like all sports when they go wrong. But at the same time, it's not really a sport.
Bar flairing, well, I think that's a great idea. The Olympics can use something like that, I think.
Bar flairing, I don't think, is particularly athletic. I think you've got to perform some sort of athletic feat to be in the Olympics.
We're at the Roadhouse, which is one of the top bar venues in London for flairing. Inside we've got some of the best cocktail bartenders that you'll find in this area. Let's go check it out. The Roadhouse has established itself as a major stop for the World Tour of Flairing, holding monthly events for local and worldwide talent. The annual World Flair competition is one of the biggest events going and features some of the best flairers on the planet.
If you come to a flair competition at Roadhouse, you'll see that there's a lot of industry, people that work in bars that are coming down to see it, and I think that's a cool vibe. It brings people together, and I think it helps the cocktail community grow. I was starting as a flair of a few bartenders just trying to show off some new moves, developing into actually judging, people coming to judge it, serious money getting involved. So it is growing. People are actually traveling the world, and there's actually flair bartenders that made it their jobs. So instead of only being a bartender, they also, they literally compete around the world.
It may look easy, but bar flairing involves years of practice and hard work. For the time being though, it looks set to remain a profession, not a sport. TGI Fridays are petitioning to change that, and achieving a place in the Olympics could be a possibility in the future.